On her 17th birthday, Zara sat at the edge of the dining table, watching steam rise from the dishes being served to everyone but her. Her stepmother, Madame Beezy, laughed loudly, feeding extra spoonfuls to her biological daughter, Tolani. Even the house help got a freshly prepared plate. But for Zara, a cold plastic container was slid her way with a sharp clack. "Here, there's rice left from yesterday," Beezy said, not bothering to look at her. "Don't expect a party. We're not running a charity." Zara blinked, staring at the hardened jollof rice, stiff from refrigeration. No meat, no salad, not even water, just leftovers. She swallowed hard, not because she was hungry, but because she didn't want them to see her cry. Her father sat at the head of the table, avoiding her gaze. He adjusted his glasses, mumbled something about being late for a meeting, and left his untouched breakfast behind. Like always, he refused to confront the tension in his own house. Zara had learned by now, in this home, silence was survival. She picked up the spoon and ate quietly, but deep inside her something snapped. It wasn't the first insult, but something about this day, the day that was supposed to celebrate her birth, made the cold rice feel like a final message. You don't belong here. What no one knew was that while they ignored her, Zara had spent the past year quietly building something no one expected. Part-time job after school, free business classes online, even a hidden Instagram food page she used to test recipes and collect feedback, and a notebook stuffed full of business plans, cost breakdowns, and marketing ideas. Her dream? To one day run her own restaurant, not just for revenge, but to prove to herself that she was more than how they treated her. That afternoon, while the others laughed in the living room, Zara slipped out the back door. She didn't slam it. She didn't scream or shout. She just walked. And in her bag, right beside her notebook, was something new. A letter. One she'd received just 2 days before. It was from the landlord of Beezy's family restaurant, Beezy's Place, once a neighborhood gem, now barely surviving. The letter confirmed that her discreet offer to buy the place, submitted under a business name they didn't recognize, had been accepted. All she needed to do was sign and send the deposit. Zara stopped at a quiet corner, pulled out the paper, and read it again. She smiled, not out of spite, but because the girl they treated like leftovers was about to own the whole kitchen. The next morning, Madame Beezy rushed into the restaurant she hadn't visited in weeks, only to find the locks changed and a new name on the glass. Her name was no longer on the door, but someone else's was, and it looked eerily familiar. The next morning, Madame Beezy stormed toward her restaurant like she owned the street. She barely noticed the street vendors greeting her or the driver honking behind her. Her heels struck the pavement like gunshots, fast and furious. She hadn't visited Beezy's Place in weeks, not since the landlord warned her about back rent. She figured she had more time to sort it out. Besides, she was too busy managing her daughter's birthday photo shoot to worry about a little restaurant issue. But today something felt off. The moment she turned the corner, her eyes landed on the entrance, and her feet froze. The bright green signboard that once read Beezy's Place had been repainted. In bold, elegant gold letters it now read, "Zia Kitchen, a taste of quiet fire." "What nonsense is this?" she hissed, marching up to the door. She reached for the handle, only to realize it was locked. Not just latched, changed. "Hey, open this door," she shouted, pounding the glass. "Where is Musa, the manager? Where's Madam?" A calm voice interrupted from behind. She spun around and saw the security man from next door. "They changed ownership last night," he said. "New owner came with lawyers and keys. Even brought in a branding team." "New owner?" Beezy blinked. "What rubbish. I am the owner." "No, ma," the man said gently. "You were the owner. They said the buyer paid cash. Everything done legally." Beezy's heart pounded. "Who bought it?" He shrugged. "A young woman. Very quiet. She didn't say much." Beezy narrowed her eyes, then stepped back to look at the logo again. Zia Kitchen. That name. Those initials. Something about it made her stomach twist. Zara Adebayo. No, No, it couldn't be. She scoffed at the idea. That girl couldn't buy a frying pan, let alone a whole restaurant. What job did she even have? What money? Then, as if summoned by the name on the glass, a sleek black car pulled up across the street. Zara stepped out, dressed simply but confidently. Hair in a neat bun, eyes focused, and a small folder in her hand. She didn't look at Beezy right away. She just walked to the door, unlocked it with a new key, and pushed it open like she'd been doing it for years. Zara! Beezy snapped. What's going on? What are you doing here? Zara finally turned, meeting her stepmother's eyes. Her voice was calm, so calm it stung. I'm just opening my restaurant, Ma. Beezy blinked. Yours? Zara handed her a neatly printed envelope. Inside are the legal documents. You'll find your buyout letter, transfer of ownership, and, if you're interested, a job application. Beezy opened her mouth, but no words came out. Zara smiled faintly. We're hiring waitresses. Experience preferred. Entitlement not required. Then she walked in and shut the door, leaving Beezy outside, staring at her own reflection in the glass. Word spread fast. By lunchtime, social media was buzzing. Mysterious teen buys old restaurant from stepmother. But what no one knew was just how far Zara was willing to go. Not just to run the business, but to rewrite her entire story. By noon that same day, the street outside ZA Kitchen was packed. Passers-by stared at the new signage. Some took selfies. A few old customers peeked in curiously, wondering what had happened to the tired place they used to grab umla from on weekdays. Inside, Zara moved with calm precision, checking inventory, instructing the chef she'd personally hired, and reviewing the new POS system installation. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't rush. But everything was moving like clockwork. She wasn't just reopening a restaurant. She was reclaiming herself. That morning, one of the vendors from across the road had tweeted a photo of the new sign with the caption, "They gave her leftovers for her birthday, so she bought the whole kitchen. Hashtag Zeri brand, hashtag respect the quiet ones." First, it got a few likes. But then someone replied with a video of Zara unlocking the doors. Graceful, poised, her stepmother yelling in the background. The contrast was cinematic, compelling. Viewers couldn't look away. Within hours, the tweet was viral. Who is this girl? Wait, she bought her stepmom's restaurant? This is the energy I want for 2025. Leftovers? Nah, she's a silent storm. Zara ignored the buzz. She had no interest in trends. Her focus was on building something real, something that would last longer than gossip. But her staff noticed. Madam, her new head chef whispered, holding out his phone. You're trending. Number 5 in the country. She gave a small shrug. Let them talk. We still have soup to taste. By 4 p.m., Zara stepped outside for a breath of air and ran into Talani, her stepsister, standing across the street like she'd seen a ghost. Talani's hair was perfect, nails polished, phone clutched in one hand like it was part of her bloodstream. She looked Zara up and down and scoffed. So it's true? You actually bought the place? That's so desperate. Zara tilted her head slightly. Desperate? Talani smirked. All this? Just to make yourself feel important? It's pathetic. Zara smiled softly. This isn't about feeling important. It's about finally being seen. Talani rolled her eyes. You think running a dusty restaurant makes you powerful? Zara stepped closer. No. I think knowing who you are, without needing anyone's permission, that's power. Before Talani could reply, the door to ZA Kitchen opened, and a delivery man called out, Madam Zara, your branded packaging just arrived. Talani froze. Madam Zara. The words echoed like thunder in her ears. Zara turned, thanked the man, and walked back inside. She didn't look back. She didn't need to. The world was finally seeing her. Not because she screamed, but because she moved with purpose. And she was just getting started. That evening, Madame Beezy swallowed her pride and showed up at the restaurant, clutching the job application Zara had given her. But she had one condition. I'll only work here if I don't have to answer to you. Zara's response? changed everything. By 6 p.m., Zia kitchen was glowing. Soft music drifted through the speakers. The kitchen was humming. The scent of smoked catfish stew and fresh plantain filled the air, inviting and rich. Customers sat at carefully arranged tables, flipping through freshly printed menus. Zara watched quietly from her small corner office. Barely the size of a closet, but it had everything she needed: a desk, a whiteboard, and a clear view of the dining area through a tinted glass panel. She sipped her zobo slowly. Then the front door creaked open. Madame Beezy walked in like someone entering a courtroom. Back stiff, chin raised, eyes darting around as if daring someone to look at her the wrong way. She wore a bold gelly and a lace blouse she hadn't ironed well, pretending it was an intentional crumple. In her hand was the application form Zara had given her. Zara stepped out of the office just as Beezy approached the counter. They stood face to face for the first time as employer and applicant. But Beezy wasn't ready to admit it. "I filled your little form," she said, placing the paper on the counter like it was poison. "But let me be clear, I will not be answering to you. I have experience. This was my business. Everyone here used to know me as Madam." Zara nodded calmly. "You still have experience. And that's valuable." "But," Beezy snapped, "I won't scrub tables or clean toilets. I'm not one of your little girls you can order around." Zara tilted her head, gently tapping the paper. "Then this may not be the right fit." Beezy's eyes widened. "Excuse me? I treat everyone here equally," Zara said. "No one is above basic responsibilities. Not even me. I mopped this floor myself this morning. If you want to work here, you do it as a team member, not a queen." Beezy stood frozen. No insults. No shouting. Just clear, firm boundaries. Zara continued, "You're welcome to join us. I'll even pay you slightly above starting rate because of your past experience. But respect works both ways. If you can't accept that, I understand." There was silence, heavy and humiliating. A few staff members behind the counter exchanged glances but kept working. Zara had trained them well. No gossip, no whispers, just work. Beezy looked down at the form again. For years, she'd mocked Zara for being quiet, called her useless, told friends she was just an extra mouth in the house. Now she was the one filling forms, for a seat in Zara's kingdom. She picked up the pen again. Then she signed. "Fine," she muttered. "Just don't make me wear an apron." Zara offered a gentle smile. "Apron's optional, but respect isn't." As she turned to walk away, Beezy asked, "Why are you doing all this? What do you even want from me?" Zara paused. Then she said softly, "I just want to see how it feels, to be treated the way you always treated me." And she walked away. The next week, Beezy reported for her first shift. But the real surprise came when a famous food critic walked into the restaurant unannounced and asked for the young woman behind the miracle. What happened next would put Zara on the national map. By Wednesday afternoon, Zia kitchen was nearly full. Word had spread quickly, not just because of the viral tweet, but because the food lived up to the hype. Customers raved about the smoky jollof, the tender asin, the egusi with soft pounded yam that practically melted on the tongue. Zara moved from table to table, quietly observing. She didn't introduce herself unless asked. She preferred letting the work speak for itself. Beezy had shown up too, dressed modestly in flats and a black blouse. She didn't greet anyone. She avoided Zara's eyes, but she followed instructions, carried trays, wiped tables, and kept mostly to herself. It wasn't respect yet, but it was a start. Then just after 2 p.m., something unexpected happened. A black Prado SUV pulled up outside. A man in round glasses and a crisp beige linen outfit stepped out. He moved slowly, like someone who'd been waited on his whole life. The moment he entered the restaurant, the hostess gasped softly. Zara didn't need an introduction. She recognized him from the food blogs she studied at night. Segan Ogundil, infamous food critic, feared and followed in equal measure. A single post from him could bury or bless a restaurant. He didn't make eye contact, just sat down at table 3, opened his leather notebook and waited. The entire staff turned tense. Everyone had heard of him, even Beezy, who stopped mid-sweep and whispered, "Is that really him?" Zara nodded, her voice steady. "Yes, let's do what we always do." She stepped into the kitchen herself and plated his meal. Coconut rice with peppered goat, zobo-glazed grilled plantains, and a chilled bottle of her homemade ginger zobo fusion. She placed the tray on the counter. "Table 3. I'll take it." The staff stared in awe as Zara approached the most feared tongue in Nigerian cuisine. With a calmness even she didn't know she possessed. She placed the food down. No speech, no fawning, just a polite, "Hope you enjoy your meal, sir." Then she walked away. For the next 30 minutes, he ate in complete silence, only pausing to jot notes between bites. No expression, no smile, not even a head nod. Then he stood, walked to the counter, and asked one simple question. "Who is behind the food?" The hostess pointed slowly. Our owner, Madame Zara." He blinked. "That young girl." Zara stepped forward. "Yes, sir." He looked her up and down, then smiled faintly. "I don't give praise easily, Miss Zara. But what you're doing here, this is what the future of Nigerian cuisine should feel like." Zara exhaled, quietly, deeply. Segan handed her his card. "Expect a review tomorrow. I hope your staff is ready." He turned to leave, then paused and looked at Beezy. "Waitress," he said, nodding toward an empty cup. "Can I get a refill?" The look on Beezy's face was priceless. She forced a smile and took the glass. Zara didn't gloat. She simply watched as the past slowly reversed itself, one silent moment at a time. By the next morning, Segan's review was out, and Zara's world exploded. But just as everything was rising, her father showed up at the restaurant for the first time in years. What he asked her left her speechless. By sunrise, the article had dropped. "The silent chef who took Lagos by storm, ZA Kitchen, is a must-dine experience." Segan Ogundil didn't just praise Zara's food. He called it a quiet revolution served on a plate. He highlighted her creativity, her fusion of tradition and innovation, and her refusal to chase attention while letting her product speak volumes. By 10 a.m., Zara's phone had already rung 16 times. Brand inquiries, reservation requests, interview offers. The restaurant's Instagram went from 1,200 followers to over 60,000 in a day. People didn't just want to eat her food. They wanted to know her story. But while staff danced and cheered in the kitchen, Zara remained calm. Grateful, yes, but grounded. She knew what it had taken to get here. The cold meals, the silence, the rejection, the years of being made to feel like nothing. This moment wasn't luck. It was built, brick by brick, night by night. Then, just after lunch rush, the door opened again. And this time, it was her father. Zara froze where she stood behind the counter. His suit was wrinkled, his face tired. There was no briefcase, no wedding ring, just a man who looked like he'd aged 10 years since she last saw him. She hadn't seen him since her 18th birthday, the day he'd silently walked past her at the table while she ate stale bread alone. Now he approached cautiously. "I saw the article," he said. "I didn't even recognize the name at first. But then I saw your picture." Zara didn't say anything. He cleared his throat. I was wrong. About a lot of things. About you." She raised a brow. "Now you see me?" He nodded slowly. "I always did. I just didn't know how to choose you without upsetting the peace at home. And I realize now, keeping peace cost me my daughter." Zara folded her arms. "So why are you here?" "I just wanted to see your place." "See you?" He hesitated. "And, if you'll allow me, I'd like to sit down and taste your food." Zara held his gaze for a long time. The old version of her, the one that begged for crumbs, might have rushed to pull out a chair, desperate for affection. But the woman standing now, she had nothing left to prove. She picked up a menu and slid it across the counter. "Table 1's open. You can order like everyone else." He nodded, almost relieved by her strength. As he walked to the front table, the best seat in the house, Zara turned to her assistant. "Give him the full chef's tasting menu." "On the house." But, she paused, then smirked. Make sure he gets leftovers. The assistant blinked. Zara smiled. Warm, seasoned, and plated beautifully, just like the ones I used to eat. Then she turned away, adjusted her apron, and stepped back into her kitchen. The one she built from pain, purpose, and quiet fire. Because now, everyone at the table finally knew her name. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell. Thank you. We hope to see you in our next video.